Relationship with God and others can change the world. Frank Ruiz.
All right.
So Toastmaster?
Thank you, Toastmaster and Toastmasters and guests. My goals are to live as close as possible to a Christian life and word and action. My talk is on changing the world. It's pretty hard to do by yourself. Asked me this question 7 years ago, and I would have told you I needed a lot of money. I can barely keep myself alive. How can I keep, somebody else? Well, I was wrong. Really, really wrong on that. How's your heart today? Well, if you asked me that 7 years ago, I would have told you I was full of anger. Questions like, why did God leave me? Why didn't God like me anymore? Why wasn't I a good person? And why things happened to me. I lived a Christian life. I was born a Christian. At 6 months old, I was baptized. I did struggle. I remember going to church every day until I was 15. When I was 15, my dad told me, you can make your choice. But of course, when I didn't go to church, there was consequences. There was more things to do around the house. I was blessed. I was also given a lot of things by God also. I had a good job at a time. I had a wife. I had my kids, Gianna, my son Justin, and my eldest Loveland. I had to go out to get knee surgery in February of 2008, and I was out of work for about 8 months. I came back to work that September. Coming back to work, I found out that my company was going to be bought out by somebody else. The good thing was, they said that they were going to keep all the employees. Well, October 2010 came around, and half of us were gone. I said to myself, well, I've never been picky, looking for a job. I've always found a job. I do anything, I can do anything. I'm a jack of all trades. 1 year later, I was still out of a job. I was looking and I said to myself, well, why are things like this happening to me? And I also was a workaholic. I worked about 70 to 90 hours a week. I was a truck driver. I was gone for about 15 hours a day, and at that same time, I was thinking to myself, I have a lot of good things, and I was making good money, but there was always something in my heart that was missing. There was always a hole in my heart. Doing all of this, I also realized that my relationship with my wife, my son, and my kids was not too well either. At that time, Artcell was going to church, and she was taking some classes at church. And she came to me and she goes, hey, why don't you come to church and try some of these classes? And I looked at her, of course, saying, I've been with God since I was born. What can I learn from these classes? And, it was just anger speaking at that time. Well, a few weeks while she was going to these classes, I noticed a lot of things. I've noticed that she was at peace at losing everything, our 2 houses, East Lake, our cars, and at the same time, I was struggling because I was using my 401 plus the rest of whatever I was getting just to pay all our bills. And I was just looking and I was amazed. I was saying, what is going on with these classes? But also, on the other hand, I also noticed that my world started slowing down. I was taking my son to school, I was dropping my daughter off, and things were balancing a little. So I decided to say, okay, Artzel, I see a change in you, I'm going to decide to go to these classes with you. I went to these classes. And when I went to these classes, I figured out what I was missing. I was missing a relationship with God. And that relationship with God gave me a center point. And it also gave me a point of where my priorities were correct. It wasn't what I was doing, it's what I needed to do with my family. So, coming back 2 years, I was still unemployed. Artzel came to me again and said, hey, you know what? There's an opening at the church. It's a groundskeeper, custodian, and bus driver. So I said, I'll decide. I'll give it a shot. I was a workaholic. I had so much time on my hands, I didn't know how to fill my days. I was basically going crazy also. So I applied for the job. I got the job. While I was there at the job, I was meeting new people. I was, once again, slowing down, and I was figuring out things. And I was like, there's a reason why God had let me go. Doors are opening for me. Well, the hardest decision was my unemployment benefits were running out after 2 years. I had a choice. I can either go back on the road, and I would be gone for 21 days. That's 3 weeks for you guys that are sleeping. And come back home for 5 days, and that's if the truck was coming back to San Diego. So if it stayed in Texas, I had to find a way to get back to San Diego. So I told Artzel, I said, you know what? It's Friday. Let's pray over the weekend. When Monday comes, I'll go ahead and by noon, if nobody has called me for a local job, I'm going to go for that long haul job. So we stayed. We did a lot of praying. We asked friends. We asked workers, family to pray. Well, Monday, 8 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang. I was like, oh, what could this be at 8 o'clock in the morning? Pick up the phone. Not a coincidence. Somebody was calling me and saying, hey, we've got a job opening. Would you like to come down to work for us? It's local. And I was just like, what? So I said, sure. I didn't even ask what it paid, what it did. I just said, sure. Well, I went to the interview. That same day, I got the job. I came back and I told Artzel, I said, guess what? And she goes, what? I'm off on Sundays and Mondays. And she goes, what? I go, yes. So that means on Sundays I can still keep my job at the church, which I like because I get to deal with the elderly and I get to help around at the church. And then on Mondays is the day that we meet for our Bible study. Those are the classes that Artzel was going to. So it kind of fitted right into my lifestyle. What have I done with this? And how do I use this to change the world? Well, our Bible class has gone out. We have fed the homeless. We fund Angel Tree. And we try to serve any way you can. When you serve, it does not mean that you need actual money to serve. The hands of God is just as good as the head of God. And here's how I want to start to change the world around me. First of all, as a Christian, I have been given spiritual gifts. And when I use it in my community, it brings love. I do that comes to me naturally. Be yourself. God will guide you. Share your grace, love, and encouragement as a Christian. Get involved. Look out into your community. See what it needs. Get out of your comfort zone. Look and be humble in your walk. change our world, and you're never alone. With God, all is possible. If you're going to change the world, you must start with yourself. A man who set out to the world, in making his plan, the man said to himself, I am convinced that I would be successful. But where was I to start? The world is so vast. I shall start with my country. I know best my country own, but my country is very large. I shall start with my city. My city is also large. I shall start with my town. That is also big. I shall start with my street. That is also big. I shall start with my family, friends. No, I shall start with myself. And that's how I will change this world.
Awesome.
Let's give everybody a minute to
Let him.
fill out the notes. 1 minute. Timer, 1 minute, please.
Timer, I'll do it. No, not yet.